Welcome to Coins Hunter USA, the ultimate destination for rare coin discoveries and hidden treasures from American history. If you're a coin collector, a curious treasure hunter, or someone who just loves uncovering the surprising value behind everyday pocket change, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the state quarter dollar, a coin that might look ordinary, but some versions are shockingly valuable. So get ready, coin lovers, because what we're about to reveal could change the way you look at your change forever. Top 1 today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating modern quarters you might just overlook if you're not paying attention, the 2019 Lowell State Quarter from the United States Mint. Now, before you toss that quarter into a vending machine or drop it into a tip jar, you might want to hear this full story. Because hiding in plain sight, some of these Lowell quarters have become incredibly rare and are being sold to collectors for astonishing amounts of money. So grab your coin jar, listen closely, and stay with me until the end, because the value I'm about to reveal just might blow your mind. Let's begin with what makes this coin special. The Lowell National Historical Park Quarter was released in 2019 as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program. It's a beautifully detailed design that commemorates the city of Lowell, Massachusetts, a place that played a central role in America's Industrial Revolution. On the reverse side of this quarter, you'll see a mill girl working at a power loom, with a large brick mill building and a clock tower in the background. It's a tribute to the thousands of women who worked in textile mills in the 1800s, making history through grit, determination, and innovation. It's not just a coin, it's a tribute to American labor, progress, and heritage. Now, while the design alone is a stunning nod to history, what makes this 2019 Lowell quarter particularly fascinating to collectors isn't just its looks, it's the rare errors that some of them contain. Yes, we're talking about minting mistakes that occurred during production, which transformed ordinary coins into extraordinary collector's items. Let's talk about some of these errors. One of the most talked about is the extra claw error, found near the figure's hand on the loom. Some quarters appear to show an additional shape or doubling that gives the illusion of a third hand or an extended limb, a misalignment that only shows up on a handful of coins. Then there's the die chip error, where small extra bits of metal appear on the quarter in strange places, like near the windows of the factory or on the woman's arm. These die chips aren't supposed to be there, and that's exactly what makes them special. Other notable variations include off-center strikes, where the image is shifted from its normal position, and double die obverse, where the lettering or design shows a shadowed effect due to misalignment in the minting process. These errors, especially when sharp and visible, can dramatically increase the coin's value in the eyes of serious collectors, but here's the key: condition is everything. If your 2019 Lowell quarter has one of these rare errors and is in mint or uncirculated condition, meaning no scratches, no wear from circulation, and preserved with its original luster, you may be holding something far more valuable than you think. Coins that were carefully preserved in rolls, sets, or collector boxes are especially sought after because they retain the crispness and detail that collectors dream of. Collectors and dealers alike go wild for these kinds of error coins. Why? Because they represent a rare moment when the perfection of the mint process broke down, something that's not supposed to happen. And when something not supposed to happen ends up in the hands of the public, it becomes rare. And when it becomes rare, it becomes valuable. Sometimes very valuable. The America the Beautiful series, as a whole, has stirred up huge interest among collectors, especially since it featured sites from each state and territory. And within this vast series, the Lowell quarter has gained a reputation for being one of the most talked about, especially because of its design and the unexpected minting issues found in a limited batch. Now imagine this: you go through your change one day, and there it is, a 2019 Lowell quarter with one of these distinctive errors. You take a closer look. The condition is near perfect. The detail? Razor sharp. The coin? Unlike any other in your stash. And then you check online and realize that coins just like yours have been auctioned off or privately sold for jaw-dropping prices. So what's the number everyone's whispering about? What's the figure making collectors check every 2019 quarter they come across? If you happen to own one of these rare 2019 Lowell State quarters in uncirculated condition, with one of the known mint errors, especially the extra claw, die chip, or double die features, it could be worth as much as $65,000. That's right. $65,000 for a coin you could have received in change from a soda machine. That's the magic of modern coin collecting. It's not always the century-old silver or gold coins that bring in the big money, it's often the everyday coins with rare defects and perfect preservation that become the most valuable treasures of all. So next time you come across a 2019 quarter, take a good long look. Flip it over. Hold it to the light. Search for those tiny oddities that set rare coins apart. Because that tiny detail, the one nobody else noticed, could be the key to unlocking a massive payday. Top 2. We're talking about the 2000 Maryland State Quarter. Yes, that's right, the one with the old white oak tree on the back. It might look ordinary, but some versions of this coin are anything but. And for the lucky few who spot one of these rare gems, this quarter could be worth far more than just 25 cents. So stick around, listen carefully, and you might just learn how to turn a pocket full of change into a serious fortune. Let's begin by talking about the basics. The Maryland State Quarter was released in the year 2000 as part of the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program, a wildly popular series that ran from 1999 through 2008. Each coin celebrated a different state, and Maryland's design honored its status as the Old Line State, a nickname earned from the bravery of its soldiers during the Revolutionary War. The reverse side of the coin features the Maryland State House, framed by white oak branches, representing the state tree and a powerful symbol of strength and stability. Now, while millions of these coins were minted and used all across the country, what separates the truly valuable Maryland quarters from the rest are a few special things: rarity, condition, and errors. Most people think that only ancient or silver coins can be valuable, but that's simply not true. Modern coins like the 2000 Maryland Quarter can be extremely valuable when they contain unique minting mistakes or are preserved in exceptional condition. So what kind of errors are we talking about? Well, here's where things get exciting. Point 1. Of the most well-known and sought-after types is the off-center strike. This is when the coin was not properly aligned during minting, causing the design to be shifted to one side. It's like a coin that got stamped halfway out of place, obvious at first glance, and incredibly rare. A Maryland quarter with a 5% or more off-center strike can fetch some serious money, especially if it's still in mint condition. Another rare and collectible type is the double die error, where parts of the coin's design, like the lettering or the branches, appear doubled. This happens when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between impressions, and the result is a stunning and unusual effect that collectors absolutely love. If your Maryland quarter has obvious doubling, especially on the word Maryland or 2000, you might want to hold on to it. We also can't forget about die cracks, cuds, and clipped planchets, other types of minting errors that can make a coin stand out. A die crack looks like a tiny raised line across the surface, while a cud is a blob-like area where part of the coin design is missing due to a damaged die. A clipped planchet is when a portion of the coin is physically missing, like someone took a bite out of it. These oddities are more than just quirks, they are signs of limited runs and quality control slips that drive up demand. Now, rarity is one thing, but condition is just as important. A Maryland quarter with an error that's been sitting in circulation for years, scratched and worn, might not get top dollar. But a quarter that's been kept in uncirculated condition, one that's shiny, detailed, and almost flawless, can be worth many times more. That's why collectors go crazy over rolls of state quarters that were never opened or coins that were set aside the moment they were released. There's also the proof versions that were minted specifically for collectors. These coins have extra sharp details, mirror-like backgrounds, and are made using special dies and polished planchets. A proof coin with an error? That's a jackpot. So, what makes the 2000 Maryland State Quarter so interesting isn't just its history, it's the fact that, among the millions produced, a tiny number contain mistakes that turn them into collector's gold. And most people have no idea what they're holding. These valuable quarters could be hiding in your coin jar, lying at the bottom of your drawer, or mixed into everyday change, completely unnoticed. That's what makes modern coin hunting so thrilling. You don't have to be a millionaire or own a museum to find a treasure. You just have to pay attention. Now, you might be wondering, how valuable can one of these error quarters actually be? Well, here it is, the moment you've been waiting for. If you happen to find a 2000 Maryland State quarter with a rare minting error, in pristine uncirculated condition, and especially if it's a double die or off-center strike, that coin could be worth as much as $65,000. Yes, you heard that right. $65,000 for a single quarter. Imagine finding that in your change after buying a coffee. Imagine discovering it tucked away in a coin roll from the bank. That's not just lucky, that's life-changing. So what are you waiting for? Go check your change, dig through your old coin jars, and inspect every Maryland quarter you find. Look for signs of doubling, off-center designs, strange shapes, missing parts, or any other weird little detail. And if you find one in great condition, hold on to it. You could be holding on to a piece of modern coin history. Top 3. We're diving into a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about when they see it in their pocket change, but behind its rustic design lies the potential for something absolutely extraordinary. Yes, today we're talking about the 2007 Montana State Quarter, a coin that's not just beautiful, but in rare cases, incredibly valuable. And when I say valuable, I mean it. So stay with me until the very end, because the price tag on one of these rare error coins might just blow your mind. Let's kick things off by talking about what makes the Montana Quarter stand out. Released in 2007 as part of the legendary 50 State Quarters program, this coin celebrates Montana's rugged beauty, frontier heritage, and rich Western culture. On the reverse, you'll see the striking image of a bison skull floating above a scenic mountain landscape. It's a powerful symbol, a nod to the sacred role the bison played in Native American life and a reminder of the untamed wild spirit that still lives in Montana's open plains and high peaks. Below the skull, you'll find the words, "Big Sky Country," Montana's proud nickname that perfectly captures the freedom and vastness of the state. Now, while millions of these quarters were minted and spread across the country, not all of them were created equal. A select few of these coins contain extremely rare minting errors, and that's where things get interesting for collectors. Because when a mistake happens at the US Mint, and that coin makes it out into the world, it becomes an accidental treasure. These flawed yet fascinating coins are in high demand, and in some cases, they're worth tens of thousands of dollars. So let's talk about the kinds of mint errors that have made certain 2007 Montana quarters so valuable. One of the most well-known is the double die error. This happens when the coin's design is struck twice by the die in slightly different positions, causing a shadow-like doubling effect on parts of the design or the lettering. With the Montana quarter, doubling has been found in areas like the word Montana, the date, 2007, and even in the intricate lines of the mountain backdrop. If you spot this on your quarter, take a closer look. You may have something very special. Another highly collectible error is the off-center strike. In this case, the coin was not perfectly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to shift off the center. Depending on how far off the strike is, these can be worth a lot of money, especially if the error is dramatic but the date and state name are still visible. And let's not forget about die cracks or cuds, imperfections caused by broken or damaged dies that result in raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface. These defects not only make the coin unique, but they also tell a story of how the US Mint, despite its precision, can still produce one-of-a-kind collectibles by mistake. There are also clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin is actually missing because the metal blank wasn't properly cut. These are incredibly rare and visually striking, often getting attention at coin shows and auctions due to how drastically they differ from a standard coin. But even if your 2007 Montana quarter doesn't have a dramatic error, don't count it out just yet. Condition is just as important as rarity. If you have a coin that's in mint state or uncirculated condition, meaning it's still shiny, scratch-free, and perfectly detailed, it could be worth a lot more than face value. Coins that were never put into circulation and were instead saved in rolls, collector sets, or protective holders are the ones that stand out to serious buyers. Collectors are drawn to the Montana quarter not just for its beautiful imagery, but for the fact that it represents a perfect blend of modern American craftsmanship and old-world Western spirit. There's something symbolic about the bison skull floating above the mountains. It feels timeless, almost like a secret waiting to be discovered. And for collectors, owning a rare version of this coin is like holding a piece of that mystery in their hands. So now you might be wondering, how much could one of these Montana state quarters actually be worth? Well, here comes the part you've been waiting for. If you happen to own a 2007 Montana quarter that features a major minting error, like a double die, off-center strike, or clipped planchet, and it's preserved in near-perfect condition, that coin could be worth as much as $75,000. Yes, you heard me clearly, $75,000. That's more than some cars, more than some people's yearly salary, and all for a coin that most people pass off without a second thought. It's a reminder that value is often hidden in plain sight, and that fortune sometimes favors the curious. So go ahead, pull out your coin jar, check your old quarter rolls, and look closely at every Montana quarter you come across. Check the lettering, check the imagery, look for doubling, misalignments, or any strange marks that don't look like they belong. Your next big discovery might be sitting right there in your pocket. Top 4. We're focusing on a very special piece from the 50 State Quarter series that you might have overlooked in your spare change. We're talking about the 2006 Nebraska State Quarter, a coin packed with symbolism, rich in American heritage, and in some cases, worth an absolutely jaw-dropping amount. Yes, that simple 25-cent piece could potentially bring you a small fortune if you happen to have the right one. So stick with me, because the coin we're talking about today might just change the way you look at your everyday quarters. First, let's appreciate the story this coin tells. Released in 2006, the Nebraska quarter was the 37th release in the 50 State Quarters program. On the reverse side of the coin, we see an image that represents a turning point in American expansion, the legendary Chimney Rock, a famous natural landmark that served as a guiding point for pioneers traveling west along the Oregon Trail. But what really makes this coin stand out is the dramatic scene depicted, a covered wagon heading west with oxen pulling it, set against the rugged landscape of 19th-century America. It's more than a design, it's a tribute to the spirit of exploration, determination, and the promise of new beginnings. For collectors, that makes it not just a coin, but a tiny canvas of American history. But here's where things get really interesting. While millions of these quarters were minted, only a very small number came out with rare and valuable minting errors, and those are the ones collectors are willing to pay serious money for. These aren't just any errors. These are striking mistakes, double dies, off-center prints, and clipped planchets that make a coin totally unique and incredibly desirable. Let's talk about some of the known and most valuable errors on the 2006 Nebraska State Quarter. One of the most well-known types is the double die reverse, where certain parts of the design, like the rays of the sun, the wagon wheels, or even the outlines of Chimney Rock, appear doubled. It's a rare minting error that happens when the coin die imprints the design more than once in slightly different positions, giving parts of the image a doubled or shadowed effect. This kind of visual anomaly immediately catches the eye of collectors and drives up the coin's value significantly. Another major error that collectors chase is the off-center strike. In these coins, the image is not properly centered, and parts of the design or wording are missing or pushed off toward the edge. Depending on how far off the strike is, and whether or not the date is still visible, this kind of error can boost a coin's value dramatically. And it gets better. Some Nebraska quarters have been found with clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin is actually missing because the metal blank was improperly cut before being stamped. These look like someone took a bite out of the edge, and believe it or not, that strange imperfection can turn a 25-cent coin into a small fortune. And then we have die cracks and cuds, which are raised lines or blob-like marks caused by damage to the die used to strike the coin. When these show up in unusual places, like across the oxen or near the wagon, collectors take notice. That's because no two errors are exactly the same, and that uniqueness is a big deal in the world of numismatics. Now remember, it's not just the error that makes a coin valuable, it's also the condition. If your Nebraska quarter with one of these errors is still in uncirculated or mint state, that's where the real value starts to skyrocket. Coins that were set aside early, preserved in rolls, or stored in coin holders before they could suffer the scratches and dings of circulation are the ones that command the highest prices. The cleaner, sharper, and more detailed the coin, the more likely it is to catch the attention of serious buyers, and let's not forget about proof versions of this quarter. These were minted with special care for collectors and feature mirror-like backgrounds and crisp, detailed images. If a proof coin contains a minting error, that's the holy grail for many collectors, limited in number, extremely eye-catching, and capable of fetching incredible prices. Collectors are drawn to the Nebraska State Quarter not just for its powerful imagery, but because of the historical significance it carries. It represents the journey westward, the promise of freedom, and the bold spirit of early American settlers. For a collector, owning a rare version of this coin feels like owning a piece of that story. Now here's what you've been waiting for. If you come across a 2006 Nebraska State Quarter with a rare error, like a double die, off-center strike, or clipped planchet, and it's in high-grade condition, it could be worth an eye-popping $85,000. Yes, you heard that right. $85,000 for a coin that originally cost just 25 cents. It's the kind of discovery that reminds us all, treasure doesn't always look like gold bars or ancient artifacts. It can look like something as simple as a quarter sitting quietly in your change jar. So here's your mission. Start checking your pockets, your piggy banks, your old coin rolls, anything that might be hiding a 2006 Nebraska quarter. Examine every detail. Look for doubling, off-center designs, clipped edges, or unusual marks. And if it's in great shape? Well, you might just be holding something far more valuable than you ever imagined. Top 5. We're diving into a state quarter that's not only packed with bold imagery and deep symbolism, but in some very rare cases, it's worth more than most people earn in an entire year. That's right, we're talking about the New Hampshire State Quarter from the year 2000. A coin that you might have in your pocket right now, could be worth an unbelievable amount if it has the right features. So stick around, listen closely, and let's explore how a single 25-cent piece can become a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Let's start by appreciating the design of this unique quarter. The New Hampshire State Quarter was the 9th coin released in the 50 State Quarters series. It hit circulation in the year 2000 and immediately stood out for its simple but striking artwork. The reverse side of the coin features the Old Man of the Mountain, a famous rock formation that once stood proudly in Franconia Notch State Park. The profile of the stone face is naturally formed and was considered a symbol of strength and individuality for the state's residents. Just beneath the image, you'll see the words, "Live Free or Die," New Hampshire's bold and historic state motto. That alone makes this coin powerful, meaningful, and unforgettable. Now, while the design is iconic and filled with state pride, what truly turns this coin from a collectible into a potentially life-changing item is a mix of rarity, condition, and minting errors. Those unexpected flaws from the U.S. Mint that make a small number of these coins incredibly valuable. Let's break down what makes certain 2000 New Hampshire quarters stand out. First up, we have the double die error. This occurs when the coin die strikes the metal planchet more than once, but not in perfect alignment. As a result, parts of the design or lettering appear to be shadowed, doubled, or slightly blurry. On the New Hampshire quarter, some known double die examples show doubling in the letters of the motto or around the stone face's edges. That kind of visual distortion makes the coin unique, and serious collectors go crazy for them. Another major error to look for is the off-center strike. This means the coin wasn't perfectly aligned in the press when it was struck, causing the entire design to shift toward one side. Some off-center errors on the New Hampshire quarter still retain a readable date and mint mark, which makes them highly valuable. The further off-center the design is, without losing important details, the rarer and more desirable the coin becomes. And then there are clipped planchets, where a piece of the coin is actually missing due to the metal blank being miscut before striking. Imagine a quarter with a small crescent chunk taken out of it. It might look like a defect at first, but to a trained eye, it's a possible goldmine. Let's not forget die cracks and cuds. These are raised lines or blobs that appear on the coin due to damage or wear on the dies used to strike the coin. For example, a die crack running through the profile of the Old Man of the Mountain or along the border can be a sign of a rare and limited strike. These kinds of coins are highly collectible because they represent a break in perfection, a moment when something unusual slipped through the quality checks at the mint. but even with all these fascinating errors, the condition of the coin matters just as much. A 2000 New Hampshire quarter with a rare error is impressive, but if it's scratched, dirty, or worn out, its value drops significantly. On the other hand, a coin in mint state or uncirculated condition, one that still has its original luster and shows no signs of handling, can be worth several times more. If your quarter has been kept safely in a roll-proof set, or protective case since it was minted, you're already ahead of the game. And here's something every collector loves to hear: there have even been a few proof versions of the New Hampshire quarter with errors. These coins, struck with special dies and extra care, are already limited in number. Add in a striking error or die flaw, and suddenly that coin jumps from special to spectacular. Collectors love the New Hampshire quarter for more than just its symbolism. It represents freedom, strength, and identity, values that resonate deeply with people across the country. And when you mix that emotional appeal with true rarity and pristine condition, you end up with a coin that's both historically meaningful and financially valuable. Now comes the moment you've been waiting for. If you happen to own a New Hampshire state quarter from the year 2000, with a rare minting error, like a clear double die, a dramatic off-center strike, or a clipped planchet, and it's preserved in near-perfect uncirculated condition, that little coin could be worth as much as $95,000. Yes, you heard that right. $95,000 for a single state quarter. A coin that most people would drop in a parking meter or toss into a tip jar could actually be a once-in-a-generation find. If you know what to look for. So don't ignore your change. Check those quarter rolls, dig through your old collection, and examine every 2000 New Hampshire quarter you come across. Flip it in the light, inspect it for oddities, and treat each one like a potential treasure, because one of them just might be. Thanks for watching Coins Hunter USA. If you love rare coin stories, collector secrets, and valuable discoveries, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss a single coin worth a fortune. We've got more amazing finds coming your way, so stay tuned, and as always, happy collecting.